How can I describe this catastrophe? I had worked hard for nearly 2 years, that I might infuse a spark of being into the lifeless thing that lay at my feet. I beheld the wretch, the miserable monster whom I had created.
Regarding Frankenstein is crowdfunding now. Go to bit.ly/REFrankenstein to support the show.
We're gonna carry on and plan the sequel, because let's face it, baby, these days, you gotta have a sequel.
And welcome back to Micro Queers. It's our sporadic queer horror movie reviews, and I'm Joe.
And I'm Trace, and we are discussing Stephen R. Monroe's I Spit on Your Grave remake from 2010 for its 15th anniversary.
Indeed we are. And Trace, this was a new to me film, but you had seen this before, correct?
I had, and it was so fun. I actually had this as a 4 out of 5 on Letterboxd from...
Okay.
I know, but this would have been a case where I saw the film when it came out, and then I got Letterboxd circa 2016, and it was going through like my whole, I've seen this, star. So my memory of this film was, this is a 4-star film for me.
Okay.
I won't lie, it did drop.
Okay.
I still like it as much as anyone can like a film that is this.
Right.
But it did kind of like lose some of its luster for me.
Okay, that's interesting because I think I may have given this a 4 out of 5.
Mm-hmm.
I have seen the original film from 1978. Yes, this is also from writer Adam Rockoff. And I did see a lot of reviews basically saying, why did we need to remake this? Like, what is the point of revisiting arguably one of the most misogynistic exploitative texts? And folks, I'm just going to come out of the gate and say, if rape revenge is not your bag, I totally get it.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it's not super fun, but also this question of why did anyone do this? Who needs this? Who asked for this? I inherently find it a very boring question.
Yeah, I think the question has a bit more weight for some people in regards to this movie because of the subject matter we are dealing with. But
sure.
I agree. I actually have not seen the original 1978 film.
Oh, okay.
But I would wager that much like Wes Craven's Last House on the Left and its remake, I'm going to guess that this is maybe a slicker, better made version of that film.
Oh, yes. The original is like definitive exploitation film. It's very grainy, low budget, and you see a lot of people referencing the fact that this is more slickly. Like, this is very obviously an aughts production, right, where, you know, we're giving a gentle period feel, but with a bigger budget, more professional expertise, and so on. So yeah, like the subject matter has not changed. This is not an easy movie to watch. We can have a discussion about the male gaze and how female bodies are presented, and is it justified when we have to watch the rape in order to get to the revenge and so on? Like, all of those questions continue to linger, but I would say that there is always an audience for every kind of movie. There is always discussions to be had, particularly about this subgenre. Mm-hmm. And I don't know, I was curious to go into this because I really, I don't enjoy the original. I find it extremely gratuitous and over the top and just really sensational for sensational purpose. And this film does make strategic decisions to make the rape portion, I think, easier to watch while capitalizing on the revenge and making that more enjoyable or cathartic.
Yeah, I thought that some of the way, because I mean, we say rape scene. This is it's like 30 minutes of rape and attempted rape and like group gangbang rape. I mean, it is very extended.
No, okay. I'm going to stop you right now because you have not seen the original. The original is what you just described. It is 4 separate rape scenes in a row. This movie doesn't hold a candle to the original. This one is a lot of aggression, microaggression, like poking and prodding, but it's a lot more threat of sexual assault. And then there is obviously a very confronting rape sequence, but it is not 30 minutes, Trace.
Well, I guess I'm thinking of like when Matthew rapes her at the beginning of the sequence to all the way when the sheriff rapes her, anally rapes her towards the end of the sequence. It feels like it's a drawn out sequence that is peppered with rape, I guess is how I would describe it.
Yes. And once again, folks, we are laughing.
I'm not laughing at rape. I'm just saying.
Yes. It's just one of those things where people will obviously say, oh, well, you're two men talking about a woman's victimization and survival. And it's like, please at least give us the benefit of the doubt that like sometimes uncomfortable situations result in uncomfortable laughter.
But also, I mean, I'm glad you mentioned that though, because this is also a film that is written and directed by two men. We don't have a female creative team on this.
I will say, I think that's the thing that rubs me the wrong way the most. Like overall, I would recommend this movie if you can handle rape revenge films. I do think that this is well done. I do think that the violence against men is ultimately cathartic, and it feels very appropriate. Like what she does to each man is appropriate given what they do to her, and like the movie knows when to just end. Like she gets her revenge and it's done.
I think my only misstep on this viewing where I was kind of like, oh yeah, this isn't really hitting as hard for me, is because after we get through the rape stuff and we enter the kind of the back like 30-40 minutes of the film, I kind of wish we had just shifted perspectives completely to the Jennifer Hills character played by Sarah Butler, but we stay with the guys as they are stalked by her, which is, I think, an interesting idea, and I get the intention. We're kind of like flipping almost like the slasher narrative onto like them as the unlikable protagonist, but I do think it would have maybe behooved the film to give us more screen time with Jennifer.
I fully agree with you. And actually that kind of circles back to the point I was going to try to make, and then I got distracted and just started rambling. But yeah, I do think one of the film's big mistakes is that it doesn't include some kind of female creative in this. Like, I don't know how much Butler had insight into her character or the dialogue or the sequence of events. Like, as far as I know, she doesn't get any kind of credit for that. But I fully agree with you on the point that I think it would have been a stronger film if we had have stuck with Jennifer as opposed to shifting the focus to the men in the revenge portion. Yeah, it makes them sort of, like, how are they going to get it? How are they handling things?
Right.
But my concern was also that we maybe start to not empathize, but understand who they are. And I think the intention of the filmmakers was to say, oh, look at them. They're trying to live normal lives. They've got wives. They've got young daughters. Like, how can these men be like this? But I don't think the film succeeds super well in that regard.
Yeah, I think it's a case where it's like, we're not getting much new information from the scenes with the men after the rape stuff because they're just kind of the same people. And yeah, I don't think the film is wanting us to empathize with them so much as it is understand them, as you said. But I think in a genre like rape revenge that comes under fire a lot in terms of like cries of misogyny. I think it is a mistake to not put your female character at the forefront of the entire film.
Yeah.
That being said, though, I will agree with you. The revenge is quite cathartic.
But Trace, people might be asking, why the fuck are they talking about this movie? Because it has zero queer components. And I would argue that there is a lot of homophobia, which is always of interest to us and how it's depicted among like a lot of male characters. We should note, folks, there's also a lot of F slurs. There's a lot of R slurs being tossed around. So, welcome back to 2010. But then, Trace, there is one notable queer actor amongst this ensemble.
Yes, Mean Girls' Daniel Franzese as one of our rapists, Stanley, who is really butching it up in this role.
Oh my God, I had to message you and be like, is he dropping his voice a bunch of octaves because he is giving butch realness?
Yeah, I think in reality, Francese's kind of like in the middle of this character and his Mean Girls character, like not quite as flamboyant as Damien, but not quite as butch as Stanley. And but I like that he has the range.
I also like that. Like, I mean, this is going to sound terrible. I found him very convincing as a kind of rural horror backwater. Like, a lot of people were saying, like, oh, these are like redneck locals. We do shift the location of this film to Louisiana as opposed to, I think the original is set in like New York State.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is very much like, hey, where are you going to find rednecks? Welcome back to, other titles of this kind.
Like, we're getting a little bit of Deliverance, a little bit of Wrong Turn.
Yes, exactly that.
Yeah, I was feeling Wrong Turn in this, and I think that might just be because of when this came out.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So I don't want to spend a ton of time discussing the sexual assault portions of this film, except to say that I think it is presented very effectively, like just the way that men invade this woman. So she's a writer who's looking to go on a retreat for a couple of months. So she rents a cottage in the woods and she's just going to be writing her book. But almost immediately she runs afoul of this local group of men who are very predatory. They like to invade her space, make insinuations, objectify her body. Basically, every woman's lived existence.
A lot of toxic masculinity. The second she even kind of makes one of them look stupid, it is over for her.
Yes, yeah. The worst thing that she could do is embarrass this ringleader guy, Johnny, who was played by Jeff Branson. I did think it was an interesting... I thought it was an interesting creative decision to make this ringleader guy arguably the most conventionally attractive guy. Like, he looks like he wouldn't have a problem picking somebody up. And yet, yeah, the minute she basically puts him down, it's like inferiority, tiny dick complex, and we're off to the races.
Yeah. And I'd be interested to know if you feel like the film is playing with a bit of, oh, she was asking for it mentality, because there's a moment where she kisses the Matthew character. And Matthew is our developmentally disabled character who kind of comes over and helps fix her toilet, but she gives him a kiss on the cheek whenever it's done, and this really sets Johnny off because he gets jealous of this.
Yeah, and P.S. No, I absolutely do not think that she was asking for this. This is like a very chaste kind of, I don't feel especially threatened by you, and if you want to say that this is like not great disability representation because this character is the first one to rape her. Although we should note that it's because he is a virgin and the other men.
It's like peer pressure. It's peer pressure.
Yeah. Thank you. I was going to say they force him and it's like, nope, that's not how that works. But they definitely peer pressure him into it. And there is this feeling of a pecking order, right? Like a hierarchy. And this guy is at the bottom with Jennifer obviously below. But, it's an interesting mix. I think one of the other minor issues that I have with the film is that there is one too many men in this. So we get a sense of who all of them are. Johnny is the ringleader. We have Stanley,
the videographer.
Yeah, he operates the video camera, which will get them into trouble. We have our developmentally delayed character. We have the sheriff, Stuart, who is played by Andrew Howard. And then we also have this other character, Andy, who is played by Rodney Eastman. And
he's the one you would cut.
I cannot tell you anything about that guy.
Yeah, I know. He has a good death. Like, I think his drowning in lie is really good, but it's kind of a thing where I would have taken more extended revenge scenes with each of the men if it meant losing one of them. Like, I think that would have been okay with me.
Especially if it meant giving Jennifer more of an opportunity to, like, have her say or like even watch her strategize. How is she going to do this? There were a few criticisms that I found where people said, how does she pull off these jigsaw level traps? Like, what does she have? Some kind of engineering degree? This would have taken her months to do. And I was like, A, who fucking cares? Yeah. But B, I think it would have been interesting to have just gotten more insight into her experience because, like, we don't know what happens to Jennifer after the rape. She basically disappears for a long period of time and then she comes back and she is like apparently healed. She's ready to go after these men, but I would love to get insight into her psychology.
Well, and that's the thing is, she comes back and she's already done all this research on the guy. So when we meet up with Jennifer again, she's like, her revenge is starting. And that's where I think, the division of runtime. This is an hour and 45-minute movie, which is pretty long.
It's pretty long.
But so much of the revenge is baked into the last 30 minutes. And I was like, ooh, see, I think you could shorten maybe this attack sequence a little bit, extend the revenge portion, show her getting into it. But I will say, if you have not seen any of the sequels to this movie, the second one is kind of standalone, so it doesn't really, you can skip that one. But the third one does bring back Sarah Butler's Jennifer Hills, and it's kind of like how she goes on a vigilante spree attacking rapists in the city.
Okay, I could be persuaded to check that out.
And it does interrogate how this event really affected her in not the best ways.
Okay, that is interesting. Yeah, like I'm not suggesting I needed to see her sit down and have a cup of tea with a therapist or anything, but just it's very lean and mean. Like that's how I would describe this film.
Yeah, and I think it's just a case, I think maybe the rape sequence feels longer because it's all happening to one woman, whereas the revenge, it's broken up into 4 different set pieces.
Indeed it is, yeah. So we do get some pretty good gore effects. The Stanley character, he gets his eyes hooked open with fishing lures and then his face covered in fish guts so that crows peck out his eyes, which, he's the videographer, so very appropriate.
This one seems like whenever I watch one of these movies, I'm always kind of like, which one's like the most, like the one I wouldn't
painful
want to have? And I feel like this one, if only because I feel like with the others, you would die relatively quickly. And this feels like a slow, maybe not even, it might not even kill you type thing.
That was my thinking. Like the last we see of him, his eyes have been plucked out and he very clearly appears to be dead. But I just thought, no, you can have your eyes taken out and you would still be alive. So like, I think it would almost be more cruel if he had to just live the rest of his life like this.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I guess we also don't see him rape her, but it is implied that he does. Like they all take turns with her, right?
Yes, that's very much what you're meant to take away.
Yeah. So I guess, also kudos. Like they don't show every single one. We don't go through, to your point from earlier, I guess.
Yeah, because that original is literally like, let's watch a full rape sequence, and then she starts to get away, and then they catch back up to her, and then they rape her again. And it's honestly, I have seen it once for a film studies course on sex and gender. I will never watch that movie again.
Yeah, that's kind of why I've never started it either. I've always been curious about it because I do like this movie, but I'm just kind of like, oh man, but I think gotta be. Also, there is like a 30 years later legacy sequel to that's 2.5 hours long.
Oh my God. No. Okay, we talked a little bit about Andy's lie death. As you said, I think that one is actually pretty strong. I just don't feel anything for the character, so it was more of a, marveling at the special effects. That's really good. I enjoyed watching him try to keep himself out of the bathtub, but ultimately his body caves and he just goes in.
Yeah, she's making him plank basically, and he has to hold himself up, and he is unable to, obviously. But
yeah,
I do wish Johnny's scene was longer.
Agreed.
I think the two people that deserve it the worst are Johnny and Sheriff Storch. And,
yeah.
And the fact that theirs come and go so quickly, I was kind of like, that's a bummer. But I mean, Johnny at least does get his dick cut off. He gets castrated fully and is just left to bleed to death, and he is still yelling at Jennifer as once even he knows, he's like, I'm done, like there's no way I'm making it out of this, and he's still like calling her a bitch and like blah blah blah. It is
I took notice of that in basically all of them except for Matthew, who ultimately dies really not knowing what is going on. Like she chokes him out and you think maybe she has actually just strangled him to death, and then later on he turns back up when we're dealing with the sheriff. But everybody else, they try to plead for their life. They apologize. They say, no, please, I'm so sorry. And of course, none of us fucking buy it. And then the minute she starts to walk away and leave them to their fate, it's all, you fucking bitch, blah, blah, blah. And it's just like, oh, cool. You absolutely deserve this. Like, you have got this coming to you.
We should mention, too, that one thing I do like, I don't think they did this in the original, is that she repeats phrases they were saying to her when they were raping her, as she's, so like, because Johnny's whole thing is he really liked her mouth. He wanted to see her teeth. So she pulls out his teeth, and like, he made her fillet a gun, so she makes him fillet a thing. And again, I kind of wish that was, again, went on a bit more or longer or drawn out. Like, I wanted more from these last two revenge set pieces.
Yeah, I wouldn't have minded seeing a little bit more suffering on their behalf, but the bits we do get is quite good. I should note that the Johnny equivalent in the original, like, she actually faux seduces him. So like she lures him into the bathroom where she is taking a bath, and then she has a knife or scissors or something, and that's when she cuts off his dick. And I really like that in this movie there is no seduction. Like she doesn't have to use her female sexuality to instigate the revenge. It's just like, no, I catch you and I fuck you up and I kill you.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's talk about the sheriff's death. This one, it's challenging, I think, because you could argue that a large portion of specifically Johnny and then also the sheriff's deaths, sure, they harken back to the rape, but they're also very much about subjecting men to traditionally female treatments. Like, as you said, we forced Johnny to fillet the gun, and then with the sheriff,
Yeah, we anally rape him.
Yeah, and part of this, I was like, I don't think the film is necessarily saying that, but it definitely feels like, oh, well, how do you take a man down a peg is you do these kinds of things.
I think it's how you take these men down a peg, because I think the fact that they are so homophobic, the fact they are so clearly misogynistic, like,
right.
I don't think it's the movie saying, oh, these things are what bring men down, but they are what bring men like this down. So
yeah,
that's kind of how I've always kind of worked my way around this. But because like the sheriff, when he rapes her, he says, "Oh, don't worry, I'm an ass man," and you're just kind of like, "Oh God."
Yeah, it's totally disgusting.
And so I do like this whole setup, and there's more of a, I guess, in lieu of a seduction, she goes home and like introduces herself to his wife and daughter, because that's the whole thing with the sheriff. Yeah,
I really like that.
I thought that was really good too. I understand why we don't kill the wife or daughter, because it would make our protagonist, too unlikable or villainous. To which I'm kind of like, She makes the point when she says, like, I was innocent just like your dog. He's pleading for his daughter's life. She's an innocent girl. And she's like, yeah, so was I. And I kind of wish they let her go into that dark of a territory, but that's what the third film does. So...
Okay, interesting. Yeah, it very much feels like the wife and daughter have no idea at all, so they are presented as innocents, and I do think, I hate this idea that we can't have an imperfect sexual assault survivor. Oh, well, we couldn't do something like that because then the audience might not agree with her. They might think, oh, she's taking it too far. It's like, well, I'm sorry, you don't need to be perfect to be in this position.
And to me, that makes it a bit more interesting to me, why am I thinking, oh, she's taken it too far? Like, to me, I'm like, I shouldn't feel that at all. And if I do feel that, that's something worth talking about.
Well, and maybe that's a good place to wrap up, because I think we can circle back to the original, well, my frustration with key talking points about this film, but then broadly speaking, the subgenre of rape revenge. As I said, if it's not for you, it's not for you, and that's completely fine. But this idea that it's like, oh, who enjoys movies like this? Like, what do people get out of this? I don't think that's interesting. I would rather actually have the conversation and say, like, what is the film doing? How is it saying it? Like, I would be very curious to hear from our female identifying listeners, is this a subgenre that you enjoy? Is it something that you just stay away from? Is it something where you can see the value in it, but also what kinds of conversations can we have about this? Like, whether you want to admit it or not, there is art to these, and like some are better than others. And I think that this one is surprisingly okay. Like, I don't think we're getting a ton of male gaze. When we objectify Jennifer's body, I always take it as it's from the perspective of the men. Like, she is most objectified when they are voyeuristically looking at her at the gas station or through the window when she thinks that she's by herself and just like having a glass of wine as she prepares to write. So I don't think that this film is particularly misogynistic.
Yeah, like it doesn't fall to the common, I guess, pratfalls, for lack of a better term, that come with the rape revenge territory.
Yes, and there is nothing titillating about the rape sequence. Like, you're not oogling any of her body parts. Like, it is just terrible and you want it to be over. And I think that it ends within a reasonable amount of time.
Yeah. No, I think so as well. I don't think this needs to be an hour and 45 minutes long.
It is a little bit long. Yeah.
Yeah. But co-sign on all of that. So everyone, let us know what you thought of this. And I don't know if it holds up for you, if you did see this when it came out. Because I think also when this came out to where we are now, like, culture is in a very different place when it comes to, well, maybe not a different place when it comes to rape, but like there's a lot more conversations being had about rape.
Yeah. I mean, let's face it, this is pre-Me Too. Yeah, in some ways it feels like it's from a completely different era, but then, I don't know, just to keep bringing circles back into the equation,
it's not the original.
I don't know if things have changed that much, because, release the Epstein tapes is all I'm saying.
That is, like, one thing I was going to say was I feel like the men are just kind of cartoonish caricatures, but then I'm kind of like, well, are they? I don't know. Yeah. Okay, everyone. Okay. Well, until next time, we can cross out I Spit on Your Grave.
Indeed, and cross out microqueers.
How can I describe this catastrophe? I had worked hard for nearly 2 years, that I might infuse a spark of being into the lifeless thing that lay at my feet. I beheld the wretch, the miserable monster whom I had created.
Regarding Frankenstein is crowdfunding now. Go to bit.ly/REFrankenstein to support the show.